stand away as well. That has been very consistently targeted, 42% of the time.
Yeah, regardless of the meta, you do want to ban Kassadin against Soren. Pretty sure you can play Azir as well, and I would like to see that on the Copenhagen Wolves side. I'm a really big fan of the champion. When played well, Azir can solo carry games. Soren, he can pick up a lot of farm on the Copenhagen Wolves' lineup too. YoungBuck doesn't get too many resources later. It's mostly Freeze and Soren that picked him up, and a fed Azir can definitely do some work, but let's not get ahead of ourselves too much right now.
Yes, indeed. Goes back to SK Gaming. It's can't quite see it on the screen, but that is an Urgot ban. That's the third one for Copenhagen Wolves as Kalista now comes out for SK Gaming. And very, very quick pickup of Evelyn for Airwaks. Ooh, this is going to be interesting. Evelyn
over Sejuani, basically transcending like from tier 1.5 to tier 1 in the opinion of the jungler for Copenhagen Wolves, Airwaks. Peculiar. Don't think he had to first pick Evelyn there because I don't think he would have gotten stolen away, especially with it immediately open for Svenskeren.
You know, Svenskeren definitely played quite a lot of that in spring. He really, really loved getting the early pressure on, and they were able to do it with just how strong they were in the laning phase. I'm not so sure they can pull the same bag of tricks, though, now. I mean, they've only made one change in their roster with the AD carry, but that's a big one.
Yeah, let's see if he locks it in. They might change it for later. They lock up the Alistar. I think that's good. I think a solid support in this meta game. I think he's really, really strong. And we saw some phenomenal Alistar performances so far. Really safe Gnar pick as well. And then, yeah, Copenhagen Wolves' turn.
Yeah, very big front line for SK Gaming. But Copenhagen Wolves are going to grab a little bit for themselves. YoungBuck picks up the Maokai. And Soren gets Azir locked in.
Not a fan that Azir survives until third rotation. First pick Eve, then a response without an Azir from SK. You know, not playing, but I rate the champion higher than that right now. But I like the makings of what Copenhagen Wolves is creating here. They have good flying from Maokai, good flying from Eve, so they can basically come from both sides, start a fight, a lot of CC, and then give a lot of zone for Azir to start poking the enemy down.
We'll give them quite a lot of zone. And you also never can underestimate the presence of an Evelyn on the map. It's so difficult to know, you know, if you're not pushing yourself into a trap.
And the thing is, he will get counterpicked. So what Sven is looking for here is something that can actually invade and counter jungle and start dueling Evelyn in her jungle. On her initial clear, she sometimes goes a little bit low, and the easiest way to spot an Evelyn is to find her at her camps, right? So he's going for the Lee Sin. Kassadin locked in the mid lane in that matchup. Definitely has a magic shield that he can put up while he launches his Q every time for the trades. However, no wave clear so far.
No, not a lot, and they're definitely going to need it in their AD carry. We'll see what CandyPanda takes, and Copenhagen Wolves are eyeballing a very famous pick for Freeze in the spring split.
I'd actually like that.
Yeah, he did manage some serious Draven plays. 3-1 was his score, and, you know, didn't get to play it in the playoffs, but I want to see this one locked in. I think the confidence is high, but Freeze has backed it up.
Yeah, but you lose sieging potentially. He locks in the Draven. I like it. Draven Morgana is a good lane because Draven's immobile, so either you want to thresh to lance him out of these tricky situations or give him a black shield in fights so he can avoid the kick from Lee Sin, the pulverize from Alistar, double range advantage against an Alistar in lane as well. Might prompt the lane swap from SK Gaming here. And what is CandyPanda going to react with? You know, Lucian gets outtraded. Jinx can outrange, but if ever gets caught, gets absolutely smacked in the face. Really tricky. Kalista and Urgot are out. So those are the strong counter traders to Draven. So tricky matchup here.
Yeah, and I feel like this puts a lot of pressure on CandyPanda because it speaks that Copenhagen Wolves are saying, they're making a statement here. They're saying, we are not afraid of anything CandyPanda can pick.
I think Jinx and lane swap.
Yeah.
Maybe.
You know, they can still do a lot with that, so yeah, it might not be a bad idea. Now the risk here is, though, there's an Alistar you're facing down, so Freeze could be on the receiving end of a headbutt pulverize if he's not careful. Yeah,
but that's where he has to rely on a limited for the black shield, right? The issue I might have with having a lane swap come in is that it opens up the maps for taking down towers. It kind of shuts down Eve at the same time, though. You want Eve in normal lanes, as Amazing pointed out earlier, I think, on the desk, because she puts so much invisible pressure because you don't know where she is. But then again, you want Lee Sin to invade on her. But then again, that's going to be hard when your lanes are getting pushed in, because Azir is going to push in Kassadin. Draven's going to push in what eventually was the Lucian pick here in an ideal scenario, though. So that's going to make it hard for Svenskeren to challenge even the jungle. Very, very interesting dynamic here.
Yeah, very interesting indeed. For Copenhagen Wolves' side, if they can get off to a nice start in the lanes, they can definitely put it to SK Gaming. But SK themselves, they're trusting in their abilities individually. They have some comfortable picks here. We'll see what they're able to get done, and you know, do we still expect that lane swap?
Tricky to say. I think they absolutely lose the 2v2 here, so I would lane swap if I was SK Gaming.
Well, have to see if that's the case. You know, and if anyone can hold their own in a 1v2 situation, it's Freddy and it's Gnar.
If he still plays that similar style, though, if you go back to the spring split, and for people that didn't watch very often SK and lane swaps, they always did the same thing. They always sent Freddy to the lane swap lane immediately, and he tried to soak XP there. And teams initially got caught off guard, but eventually they predicted that, and Freddy falls behind in XP very easily, sometimes even dies in those matchups. So really interesting if the lane swap happens. Let's not get ahead of that too much. If it happens, how SK is going to play it, because their entire team dynamic has changed right now, right? With Forgiven out, CandyPanda going back in, you know, back to the old school SK style. I don't remember how they played lane swaps back in the day, but we'll see how it goes.
That was one thing I remember. That team did manage to go to Worlds last year. Now, well, guys, what do you think? Can they pull it a win here and maybe start turning their fortunes in a positive direction? Tweet us at LL Esports, CW win or SK win, to see who you think is going to take this game. And the crowd goes up. This is the last game of the day. Game number 5, Copenhagen Wolves, SK Gaming, and guess what? We're onto the Rift.
I think Svenskeren will play a crucial role in this game, and I really want to track his jungle movement. I want to see if he finds Airwaks in the enemy jungle, even though his lanes are getting pushed in. And if he finds Evelyn, can he kill her? Or will he get caught up by the collapsing lanes on both sides?
Yeah, that's always going to be the question. Now, for Svenskeren, you know, he loves to be in the enemy jungle all the time, so it's going to be no stranger. He's going to be no stranger, rather, to doing this. But oftentimes, it's kind of just to track movements and to try and counter jungle a little bit. I think trying to kill Airwaks might be a little tricky because Copenhagen Wolves are going in early.
Yeah, but they're doing a 5-man invade, prompting that they likely want to spot the bot lane. They definitely don't want to allow SK to swap. However, I don't like 5-man invades for the reason that's happening right now. Alistar and Lucian on the bottom lane, CandyPanda and nRated rather, moving in, putting deep wards in relatively predictable spots, but Copenhagen Wolves has no security that is happening by SK, you know. So basically they trade deep vision, while Copenhagen Wolves don't know where SK plays their wards, but SK knows where Copenhagen Wolves plays theirs. So it's an uneven trade, even though Copenhagen Wolves initiated the action.
Yeah, so we'll have to see if they get anything for it. I mean, they're definitely trying to sniff out the lane swap. You can see that trail of wards leading all the way to the top. But Freddy is already sitting there in the top side. CandyPanda and nRated are safely over by Gromp. I think they're just going to try to mind game this and say, hey, you know, we'll just take standard lanes and try our chances. Yeah,
but look at it in the mid lane. They're waiting to see where SK is going because they really just want to get that 2v2, but I think they're guessing wrong right here.
Yeah, I mean, there's one thing they're going to be able to spot. It's Svenskeren. But that's not really a surprise. Freddy just really hasn't left that top lane brush, and Unlimited and Freeze are going to go up top.
I wonder how long Freddy's going to hide there. Because we've seen a scenario before. I don't know what game it was. There was a top laner hiding for like 4 levels until he gets spotted. May as well have been Huni, I think. And that can be really brutal.
Yeah.
Definitely need to check that brush immediately, but I think Freeze is going to do it. Yep.
Looks like he will. And he finds a boomerang for his trouble. So SK Gaming, looks like they get the lanes they want to start this one off.
Yeah, camped down by nRated and CandyPanda here. That means they're going to auto-shove the lane. It won't freeze. So very predictable lane patterns right now. Both people turn up too late to the lane to freeze them. So both teams know what's going to happen right here. So both teams playing with pretty much full information. We know where Lee Sin started. I'm not sure if SK knows where Airwaks and YoungBuck started, but let's see what happens here.
Yeah, roaming together. May look like it's just YoungBuck, but they know there's an Evelyn there as well. So moving over into Svenskeren's jungle, he's dangerously low, and he finds them both. There's the twisted advance after the flash, and Airwaks comes in. Svenskeren is able to safeguard away. A
matter
close
of
miss.
seconds.
2 flashes burned for 1, though. SK got that trade.
And this is how you punish SK's lane swap style. Freddy is not double jungling. He is in his lane. That means his jungler is jungling alone. You capitalize on that by using your 2v1 advantage to force him out, and then you rotate to the top lane where Freddy's sitting. He is forced to back off then in addition as well, and you get the 4v0 scenario, but you have the pressure advantage. Now Freddy is still level 1, and he has to start double jungling. So he's doing what he should have done at level 1, at like level 2 or 2 minutes too late, and it immediately puts Copenhagen Wolves ahead.
Yeah.
And this is what I like to see, that teams are punishing SK for doing this, because I think it's a very suboptimal lane swap style that should get punished.
Yeah, and the advantage they have here now is they're able to put so much damage on this top turret. They might as well just take it. You know, it's almost back to the 4v0. The problem is SK, they've not adapted to that at all because they only have their dual lane bottom. Airwaks takes a lot of damage off those minions. Freddy and Sven, however, they are moving down bottom, but they've got a ways to go to catch up to the point where Copenhagen Wolves are at.
Yeah, they're just going to knock on that tower, slowly taking it down. Again, giving all this information to Copenhagen Wolves right now. They initiated the move first. This wave is going to bounce back, and they might just give it to YoungBuck to get him nice and tanky, get really big. But right now, SK is showing 4 people in the bot lane, while for SK side, it's a question mark. You know, where is Copenhagen Wolves going to put their resources? We don't know, because the tempo right now is decided by Copenhagen Wolves. Invade on Freddy, invade on Svenskeren, right? Chunk him out, force Freddy out, get the tower base. The tempo is on their side. CandyPanda still has the base because there's a good chance that Draven's coming from base with items right now. So their chain reaction is working in favor of Copenhagen Wolves.
Yeah, not only that, they are able to scare Sven and nRated away from the red buff. Airwaks, thank you very much, he says. Got a little bit of a damage onto it to start things off.
So the lane's pushing back, really good bounce by CandyPanda as well. You don't want to leave that in a freeze, not against the Draven. They're going to push in a wave, so mid's pushing, bot's pushing, and top just got a really big wave for YoungBuck. This game's playing out exactly how Copenhagen Wolves wants it, aside from getting the lane swap. Obviously they wanted the 2v2, but given the lane swap, really good start by Wolves.
Yeah, they definitely made the best of it, that is for certain. So YoungBuck and Freddy are going to be at the wet noodle fight for just a little bit right now as Airwaks Unlimited move into the jungle of Svenskeren, nice, who dodges out the Dark Binding, ignites on him as he ward hops, and he eats up another summoner spell. He's been the master of escapes this game so far, Krepo.
That's really crucial. If he got bound there, that would mean such a big snowball for the Wolves. Limited with the bind on Candy.
Yep, CandyPanda is bound. He finds a piercing light, but Airwaks is moving in under tower, and Freeze is looking to maybe cash in on some stacks. Instead, he just adds a few more as they find nRated. They will back away. Or maybe not soon enough. There's a teleport here. YoungBuck is coming in. Unlimited sends the Dark Binding. It goes wide as nRated flashes away from, but CandyPanda and nRated cannot handle this amount of pressure on the bottom side. Copenhagen Wolves, you said they're dictating the pace. Well, they were wanting to kick it into high gear.
Not a fan of that teleport. That ruins the advantage that YoungBuck had. He had that wave bounce back to him. Now Freddy can out-farm him and whittle down a tower. That bottom tower was going to go down anyways. 3v2, they had the advantage. Svenskeren was late. They could have still TP'd later for a more favorable play. They threw away their TP for pretty much nothing. Like, Freddy had to TP top, and for free pretty much. And, you know, Copenhagen Wolves had TP advantage, and this is the way they chose to use it. Very suboptimal TP usage, and it may have gotten SK back to the game.
Yeah, and they didn't even get the tower out of it, too. This is the problem. So Copenhagen Wolves, it's even on gold in the beginning of this game here. Sven, he's now on Gromp inside the Copenhagen Wolves. Jungle is a little bit low. Got to be careful there, but YoungBuck is not anywhere near just spotting him out. After he backed away, he gave up a lot of golden experience to Freddy. And yeah, that may very well have got him back in. Good
game read by Svenskeren as well. Ironically, the best, safest place for him to farm at that point was in the other team's jungle, because everybody was showing on bottom. Jungler and top lane. Kenny gets bound.
Yep, he does, but nRated immediately moves in onto Freeze. Another spinning axle send him back to his tower.
Black Shield was too late, just by a fraction due to the positioning on the lane. Look at the tower, almost down. Copenhagen Wolves, 200 gold ahead.
Slim lead for them. They hold on to it for now. Still, there's a ways to go. We'll see if they look towards this dragon anytime soon. For the meanwhile, Airwaks is just going to be sitting over by the dragon, clearing out the crowd. But we have a pause coming into this game, so let's take stock of what has been going on, Krepo, because it seems like Copenhagen Wolves pretty much had the game, the early game, and then they kind of left it there.
Let's take it back all the way to level 1. What do we know? What do we know the teams want? SK wants that lane swap. Copenhagen Wolves wants to prevent that. Double TP wards. SK put them... Copenhagen Wolves didn't have any idea where it was. Good job by SK mind gaming. They want a mind game. Okay, both lanes pushing, that's fine. Typical SK lane swap style. Freddy wants to leech that experience in the top lane, hover around, basically 1v2, soak up. You can't really punish somebody 2v1 if the lane is auto-pushing, because you're not strong enough to dive in with 2. Even with 3 people, sometimes it gets tricky. But if you have 4 people, it gets really easy. And even if the jungler shows up, especially when you chunk out a jungler out of his own jungler. So really bad, what I call resource management by SK. On the weak side, Svenskeren is jungling. You saw it. He got chunked down. Really nice flash W from Maokai, from YoungBuck. Really forces him out, translate to the top lane, and then they got behind.
On the other hand, though, Copenhagen Wolves have had a really hard time finding picks beyond that early one. So, beyond the attempts. You're right. They've really been able to push towers, but SK is answering back. They're not down that much gold. So yes, Copenhagen Wolves are controlling the tempo of the game. But I feel like SK's not that far behind.
Up to the point where YoungBuck teleported. And I think it's really crucial. I think that was a really suboptimal use, if not just straight up bad use of teleport. You know, the person you wanted to catch there was already... You wanted to catch CandyPanda, right? Either you teleport behind him and you get him, or you zone him off the tower if you need to. But he was already zoned off the tower by the people currently present. So YoungBuck's addition only soaked experience away from the bot lane. He lost farm on top lane. and he basically cleared out the top lane area for Svenskeren to farm. The best place on the map to farm to get back into the game at that point was the enemy jungler, the enemy Grump. Svenskeren went down to like 10% taking that. If YoungBuck could have been there, had a ward, maybe some pressure, Svenskeren could have gotten stuck behind in the game. Good reaction though. I like Svenskeren's game reads in situations like this. He comes back really well. He escaped. He sidestepped that binding. He's a really solid player. He's a good reactive player too. So let's keep an eye on him more once this pause goes over and see what he does in the rest of this game.
Yeah, and as you're seeing on the screen right now, it is a peripheral issue. They are replacing keyboard on the side of SK Gaming. So as that one does get fixed, again, in this game right now, SK, they are in a much better position than they were a few minutes ago because of those missteps by Copenhagen Wolves. But how do they use that now to press their advantage? How do they find their identity? Because this is the question we asked on the analyst desk earlier in the days. How do they find this post-forgiven SK Gaming? What is this SK Gaming going to look like? Is it going to look like the squad that made the Season 4 Worlds? You know, it's a little bit of different mid laner. We talked about Jez's a little bit versus Fox, and I feel like the dynamic is still going to be very, very different despite a similar lineup on paper.
I think it matters a lot what within the context, right? In that season where SK made it to Worlds, yes, they were strong, but I think the other European teams were a lot weaker than right now. We have a super competitive split, this summer split here in the European LCS, and I think it's going to be really hard for SK to repeat that success if they play on the same level as they did back then, because the game has evolved a lot, but I think we're almost ready to go back to the game, and yeah, here we see Svenskeren, the man that has to save this game.
Let's see if he's able to do that. As we get right back into it, Freeze still tossing those axes around. He is hoping desperately to cash in on those stacks. We'll see if he's able to get a chance. CandyPanda and nRated are a little wise to this one. Airwaks hanging around in the back to see if he finds an opening. They are very bot-focused. One thing we haven't really been able to talk about this game has been that mid lane, but there's just been so much action all across the map elsewhere that
generally tends to happen in lane.
It's been the quieter one, yeah. Oh, Svenskeren's here too.
nRated is telegraphing this gang really hard.
A huge amount of damage. He's going to go down. That's first blood to Airwaks. Svenskeren and CandyPanda in hot retreat as Airwaks summoner heal forced to use by Freeze. A little too hyphy at the end of it.
Yeah, you can smell that gang from miles away. If the enemy Alistar starts hovering in front of you like that, you know he has backup, but pretty much predicted by Copenhagen Wolves anyways, having Airwaks around for the counter gank. In a counter gank situation, whoever fires first usually loses because people are not ready to basically get jumped on by the jungler suddenly appearing, and I think nRated, he did that nice idea, right? Trying to snowball back with the Alistar combo, but not at the right time, not against the Morgana, and especially not without knowing where Evelyn is.
Yeah, it just takes a little bit too much on that one. So now, with that, it goes to the Evelyn, it goes to Airwaks. Freeze would have definitely liked to cash in his stacks, but he'll have to wait for now. CandyPanda, meanwhile, roams upriver. As the Dragon knows that one's still up, but of course that should have been fairly obvious. For now, Soren and Fox continue to trade farm out, but who's the Azir that's getting the better of that exchange?
Yeah, luckily for them, Draven did not get the kill, else he could get really ugly. Double longsword, so he's still a while off his BF sword. If he got that kill, he could have snowballed really hard.
That's some really tall grass to hide the blue gold.
Just disappeared.
Airwaks. Forward. Looks his attention towards the crab. Freddy pretty soon to Gnar, so YoungBuck is going to want to wait that one out. You look at that CS differential, though. YoungBuck has not been doing particularly well versus Freddy. 10
goes
behind,
back,
and that's a teleport, yeah?
Yep, exactly. Goes back to that teleport. He was ahead. He had a bounce wave coming towards him. Freddy was chunked out early. Didn't double jungle at all. Experience lead for YoungBuck, but the teleport kind of neutralized that. Lucky for him, he was ahead when that teleport happened. And Airwaks is looking to snowball this lane one more time. No Gnar.
Wards won't help if they don't have true sight. Freddy out of Gnar. Still playing it relatively safe, and Airwaks doesn't have an opening.
The thing is, you have these behavioral patterns in this lane, and the gank might be given away by YoungBuck approaching really hard on Freddy here, but Airwaks is behind him, so it's a tricky situation. But if you usually play very passive against each other, and suddenly somebody walks up with a lot of confidence, you can pretty much smell a gank, and that's what happened earlier on bot lane as well. nRated will never move that far up unless he has a jungler behind him, you know, so it kind of gives it away. But let's see if Freddy can make it out of this gank.
Both teams have been doing that for now. Freddy, though, is going to have a whole heaping helping a damage on him as he tries to run away. Flash is followed by Airwaks. The hate spikes are flying. Is it enough? He needs one more, and he gets it. Airwaks comes up with another kill. Cashing that gold, but SK Gaming are quick to react on Dragon.
Yeah, they definitely want that cross-map objective yet again. But Azir is pushing in the mid, so this could be pretty ugly. If Azir moves immediately, if Evelyn follows, they could potentially stop that. No, Freeze is in base. I'm wrong. I'll take that back.
I think SK's got this one, but that was just really good timing by them, despite the fact that they gave up a kill on Freddy. SK Gaming secure the first dragon 10.5 minutes in. So overall, I'd say that trade's pretty even for them. Yeah,
that's pretty even trade. Freddy has to use his teleport. He doesn't really need it to go for the dragon anyways, unless a bot fight starts out. Freddy can pick up a lot of CS here, but teleport advantage again for Copenhagen Wolves. Will they use it efficiently this time?
That is the question. So YoungBuck has that one back up. It's been a while since that early down bot movement, and there's really no reason for him to go at this point because there's no tower to fall back to.
So naturally, the way this game will evolve is to become bot lane focused again, even though the dragon is down, because top lane is pretty hard to gank right now. Mid has 2 mobile mid laners. Unless Copenhagen Wolves chooses to group and siege on mid tower, that's one option, but they're likely just want to make a fight on bottom. But SK is prepared for that pretty well. 4 pink wards in their jungle and in the river. Really want to spot out Eve when she comes, so she has to clear it once, then back off, then come again. It's really vital that SK keeps this mid lane tower alive, and then they can hang on to this game and just play in the bottom side of the map really well and potentially sacrifice Freddy, but it'll take a while to kill him.
Yeah, it's not going to take very long, though, to kill that mid tower, nor the bot one. Copenhagen Wolves, it's money in the bank at this point. They're just waiting to knock those down, but they may need to show a force to do it. You can see nRated and Svenskeren clearing out the pink wards up there. Sven catches a Dark Binding, but there's no follow-up, so he's perfectly fine now. Freddy and YoungBuck are duking it out. Freddy getting close to Gnar, but YoungBuck has the damage on him, and in comes Airwaks. This looks like a repeat performance, and before he can go, Gnar, Arcane, smash you down.
Yeah, Freddy cut out again, and there's no reaction from SK because they can't cross-map Copenhagen Wolves here, because Freeze like kind of froze the bot lane stacking wave right now, and they have so much wave clear in the Azir in the mid lane. So really, really good. I like where Airwaks is putting his gank priority.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely not been a good day for top laners, Krepo.
You know, Freddy sympathizing with Steve and say, hey buddy, happens to the best of us.
They just want to play some League of Legends, man.
They would like the opportunity to kill a mid tower, apparently.
And they do. Nicely done by Soren. They cash in on that one. They can move to clear some vision out. They will with Soren Unlimited Airwaks in tow. Yeah, 3,000 gold lead ahead. They can extend that even further with the bot tower. SK Gaming have to find an answer to this.
Yeah, the snowball is about to become an avalanche here because the lack of wave clear on SK Gaming's composition is really biting them in the ass right now. Kassadin is nowhere near strong enough to win these skirmishes, to win these fights, and Freeze is stacking up those stacks from Draven, those Adoration, and if he gets one kill, he's going to snowball so hard. And that tower, yeah, I think it's going down, Pyre.
Yeah, I think that's a fair bet. There it goes. So now, even without cashing in those stacks, Copenhagen Wolves have certainly exerted a decent gold lead over the 3,000 mark, but teams have just avoided Freeze like the plague when he's on this Draven historically. They do not want him to start rolling ahead, but he's already doing quite well in general. I mean, a serious CS lead over CandyPanda's Lucian. Now Copenhagen Wolves are pushing into this jungle. Airwaks smites down the blue, takes that away from Svenskeren. Freeze running forward, but there's a calling out. It's got to be careful.
And that's kind of a catch-22 when you play against Draven. If you ignore him, he stacks a lot of Adoration stacks. Freeze with the Respect Flash, that's okay, because he was getting flagged. He was forced to the left. He saw Svenskeren coming. Flash before Q can tag him, because he will have to flash regardless anyways. I like that. That's smart play. He wants to keep those Adoration stacks alive. But to go back to my point, it's a catch-22, because if you ignore him, he will stack up and eventually get a kill in a teamfight anyways. If you pile on and make it like a camp fest 3v3, 4v4, and you get unlucky, and he cashes in those stacks and gets a first spot, he comes back with a BF sword, and he will slap you in the face with those axes so hard that you wish you never ganked him anyways. So you really have to know what you're doing when you face a Draven. And the problem is, Freeze will always know Draven better than you know Draven yourself, because he's so mastered at that champion.
Oh yes, he is. He's managed to stack himself up to 270 so far, and counting. It's going to be a lot of gold to get when he does finally secure the kill. If that happens, SK Gaming not keen to let that happen. They are running a little out of ground. 3 towers to 1 is the scoreline. We're approaching the 15-minute mark.
The game will slow down a little bit because these tier 2 towers are really hard to reach, and wave control becomes a lot easier for SK because it takes longer to rotate in between the towers.
And, you know, we mentioned this in Champ Select, though. SK Gaming do have a little bit of a lack of wave clear. They're pretty much putting it all in the back of CandyPanda. So if he's not around, it's going to be hard for them to defend. But fortunately, he's quite mobile.
Yeah, I like what Freeze did with his build here. So he went BF Sword Brutalizer for that immediately damage spike. But then he noticed that if we're going to go for a 1-3-1 scenario, getting poked up by Culling would mean he was base. But if he can slowly stack up some lifesteal with the Vamp Scepter and get back healthy to keep somebody in the lane, it's a nice choice. He doesn't need more damage right now. It just needs sustainability to get that 1-3-1 to fruition and start rotating between his tier 2 towers. That's basically what Wolves want to do, because in a 1v1 even number scenario, Soren will whittle down these towers and eventually a tier 2 will fall. If not, more dragons will go towards the Copenhagen Wolves camp.
Speaking of dragons, we're pretty close to another one spawning up. The first, of course, did go to SK Gaming. That was because of the trade up top. I don't think Copenhagen Wolves will give another one away quite so easily. Freddy now already moving down just a little bit. He hides in the brush, actually. See if they're trying to set up a catch onto YoungBuck. There's no one really there to back him up, though.
Freeze is pushing this bottom lane really slowly. Not sure if I agree with that. Yes, you deny farm from CandyPanda, but you lose so much pressure, and you allow SK to group with 4 people right now and start de-warding your jungle, deep-warding your jungle right before a dragon. I would like Draven push this a little quicker. I think he can push it quicker, but he does like axe 1 creep, wait, axe another creep, get adoration stacks, but it's too slow. Copenhagen Wolves should be controlling this dragon area, and SK should have never gotten that scuttle cap for free.
Well, they got a lot more than that. Sitting inside the shrine, the dragon's about to spawn. A few members of Copenhagen Wolves are here. There's the teleport flank, but it's got to be spotted. SK Gaming knows something is up. Freddy has not started this one. CandyPanda just getting chunked out, and Airwaks will pick up another kill. Fox trying to back out, but he's being chased down by so many members of the Copenhagen Wolves. They definitely roam as a pack here, Krepo. Two kills to start this one out. They don't have the vision, but they took the better fight. They're gonna start this dragon up. Might trade a tower for it, though.
I went and checked, and that was a ward placed by Airwaks, and it's a really nice TP ward because you don't see the TP channel because you rarely have that area warded. Why would you ward your own Grom? YoungBuck arrives there, and Copenhagen Wolves, they were basically hurting the cattle. They were forcing SK to go into that choke point, and they got surprised by a Maokai coming up behind them. Yes, CandyPanda flashed out, but Soren caught him out anyways. And the second you have to use your flash defensively in a fight like this, it's already over. And really, really beautiful play and really nice flank from Copenhagen Wolves. And you really have to do that when you play Maokai and Evelyn together.
Yep, they managed to make it work. SK Gaming caught unawares, give up the dragon, don't get the mid tower, and they lose a couple more members to boot. Definitely not boding too well for them. That goal lead has extended to just under 5K now for SK Gaming. CandyPanda looks to grab a little bit more back with the wave clear, but they are running out of legs to stand on.
Yeah, and you can't even freeze that wave, because if you play a no wave clear comp and you get such a big wave, it's such a shame that you have to give it up and push it back, because you could technically freeze that endlessly, but as teams get better over time, Season 2 that freeze would have worked, but by now, teams will just cross map you. You're busy freezing a wave, we will put 5 members in the top lane and take away your tower. Suddenly, not that lucrative for you anymore. You will have to reaction push it out, and you'll lose even more. So really, really unfortunate for Copenhagen Wolves. Or for SK, rather.
This might be unfortunate for Copenhagen Wolves. Fox looks to chase down Unlimited, but you just don't have enough damage. Freezes there. Unlimited will go down, and nRated gets a few flanks carved off of him by Freeze, but he'll have to wait for the main course. One pickup for SK Gaming in the meanwhile, though. They do get a little bit back.
Yeah, good pick by SK. YoungBuck coming here for a ward. It's poked out. Not too much going to happen.
Well, he's going to have to flash it, though. Fox goes in.
Yeah, he has no backup. He went really deep. Just knowing that Unlimited died in the exact same spot earlier, going for that ward is a little greedy.
I mean, securing vision's important, but
there's
got to be a limit. But now, speaking of vision, CandyPanda never saw it coming as Airwaks moves in on him, the dash away. He's just not got nearly enough damage.
See, and that was CandyPanda still pushing out that wave that I talked earlier, but let's hold on that for now because Copenhagen Wolves is invading the blue buff of SK Gaming right now.
Svenskeren going to start this one off. nRated's there for backup. It's a heal off, but YoungBuck and Soren are both there. In comes the sapling to chase them away. They've not got a smite available for him, but if they can keep Sven away...
Oh, they can.
It's a scary duo to check into. They'll take the mini golems to start, but Sven's still sniffing around. I don't think he's going to get this. No, not with Unlimited there now. This is no longer the SK Gaming jungle, Krepo.
Yeah, it all belongs to the Wolves. Again, pushing out bot lane. This game basically revolves around wave control, especially when you play against a team that has very little wave clear. So I want the Wolves to safely push out these lanes and then use a number advantage in another lane to take down some tier 2 towers, potentially start baiting Baron when it comes up later. Game's a little slow. Gold gap is still about 4,000 gold. Freddy looking to pick up a top tower though.
Yeah, Freddy will be able to grab that one back, but there is a slow collapse moving on him. Do the Wolves want to try for this? It looks like they do. They may be a little too late, though. Now they're going to let him go. So, with that, SK Gaming get a little bit more gold on the books. 20 minutes on the clock. It's been shortened to 2,500 ahead.
Let's see what Freeze does here. He put up a slow push in the bottom. That means he left some minions alive long enough for that wave to slowly stack up and become really big and knock on that bottom tier 2 tower. He just pinged it out. He says, guys, that's pushing. Let's group somewhere else and see if we can make something happen. Ideally, if you push out bottom with a slow push, you want to take control on the other side of the map, right? So you want to move into the red jungle, deep ward, and then you can maybe siege up top tier 2, mid tier 2, or later in the game, fall back onto Baron.
We'll see if that's what they go for. Meanwhile, a little bit of a wave in the middle is pushed away by CandyPanda. There's still Airwaks sniffing around. The Azir turret comes in. Svenskeren, he really can't take this damage from Soren any longer. Azir's becoming a big threat.
Yeah, this is actually really smart because they have the tower tier 1 taken down. They pop up an Azir tower, and this is why this champion's so good. They're setting up a rotation to bot. They're pushing in mid. Either they're going to get this mid tower, or they're going to rotate to bot later. SK, every member of SK in the middle right here. They're all trying to combining their powers to clear wave by wave by wave, but they're losing the pressure on the bot lane.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very different team than Elements. This is no Exodia on SK Gaming, and they are better splitting off here as CandyPanda will send a culling Airwaks way to clear this one out, but I feel like SK Gaming, they're a step behind in this stance.
Missed opportunity. YoungBuck should be pushing in this top wave and take that tower. You want to move around SK's member to a position where they have to make a mistake. They basically let CandyPanda clear this for free. YoungBuck could have taken that top tower, or at least denied so much farm. But now CandyPanda's in time to clear this wave, and now SK could potentially send somebody top again. So nice ID, but lacking in execution from the Wolves.
They still retain the lead despite it, but you're right, some missed opportunities. Evelyn spotted by the sonic wave of Svenskeren. Doesn't need to see her to hit her.
Definitely could have chipped away at that top tower. All the makings of a very beautiful 1v1, kind of ruined by a poor flank from YoungBuck there.
Still trying on this pitcher. Fox takes some damage. The Azir soldiers come in, but he's just going to get poked on the backside of that one. Still, though, Airwaks pushing uncontested on the bottom as they keep this 4-1 going. It is a much slower push than the 1-3-1 might have been, but Copenhagen Wolves are keeping to it. Now Fox is moving in. Will he be able to get the pick off as he Rift walks forward onto Airwaks? Looks like Air is stronger than Rift.
So far, this might prompt the fight in the mid lane though, because in even numbers with such a gold lead, Copenhagen Wolves is obviously going to come out ahead. And they're whittling down this mid lane tower. Meganar's coming in though, have to be careful.
Svenskeren, oh, he eats a binding. In comes Meganar. YoungBuck gets kicked back, but that's just fine. Twisted advance, back into nRated, and SK Gaming, they're starting to melt. Soren moves forward, Emperor's Divide, and throws down the Zhonya's. He's face taking a whole ton of damage, but he stays alive. Double kill for Draven as he gets his stacks cashed in. A triple kill. Oh, baby, he's looking for more. nRated, his time is numbered, and that's the ace for Airwaks. The Wolves can take free towers.
Yeah, chasing the Evelyn, not the right idea. Svenskeren went for the play, you know, he wanted to get the insect off, but good read by Copenhagen Wolves, and once that play is thwarted, and there's a black shield on freeze, it's impossible for SK to win this fight. So much damage coming out from this BT Brutalizer, Average Blade Draven already, and he's going to have so much gold in the bank right now.
Yeah, I don't know what he had before, but those investments seriously just paid off. He's sitting on over 3,000. Let's take a look at that fight again, though.
So they know Kassadin went bot for a little bit. Svenskeren coming in looking for the flank. He gets caught. Good black shield denying Freddy to basically knock Freeze into the wall, and then it doesn't matter what happens. Everybody can die because Freeze is going to clean up anyways. Soren keeps the front line busy. Good Zhonya's pops the barrier, basically keeps everybody alive long enough, and then he's just start. This is taunting and Rated is like, yeah, you're gonna get me? Nope, just one more out of there. Come on, just a little closer. And meanwhile, Freeze triple kill, and he's telling his team right now, back off. I want that quadra. Not gonna happen.
Slow-mo cow. Not fast enough to catch Soren and the baits.
And it's gone.
So they get the dragon after that. They get the tower in the mid. SK Gaming will finally clear tier number 1. They have an open inhibitor. Airwaks now sneaky move into CandyPanda just outside his range, and there is the ultimate. The hate spikes are falling. There's a tower there, but Airwaks is still taking this. Might not be the best decision he's ever made, but he still gets the kill, and now he's running. Can he make his great escape as Freddy throws the boomerang? He's flashed into the base now. A secret mission for the Evelyn.
Yeah.
I don't think this is going to end well.
This is good if you have crossmap potential, but YoungBuck's doing top lane. They're going for Baron. He's keeping them busy, but...
Oh boy.
Yeah, he's dead. But there's
that was a nice stall out.
Yeah, it's a nice stall out, but at what cost, right? Is it worth flashing over that? What are you getting for that? I know I'm nitpicking here, but you can go for that play if you have a cross-map objective lined up, but they didn't. This was basically Airwaks boasting.
Yeah, he just kind of stalled this one out, but you're right. Copenhagen Wolves really had nothing to show for it after the fact. So yes, they trade 1 for 1. few mistakes, but still the Wolves are massively in the lead right now.
And poor CandyPanda, he just wants this to go back a year ago because Lucian would have actually reset the slow on that Evelyn ultimate. Lucian dash no longer reset slow, so it actually allowed Airwaks to catch up and kill him. They did get the teleport down on Freddy, so makes Baron baiting a lot easier. Freddy can't join in if he has to deal with bottom wave later, but it ruins some of the tempo. I would like to see Copenhagen Wolves take this more serious and learn how to close out the game more efficiently, because when you're 12-2 ahead, 11-1 previously, and you have almost a 10,000 gold lead, going 1 for 1 and flashing into the base is not the advice path. It's fun though.
It is definitely fun.
And League of Legends, as Fong said, has to be fun sometimes.
But I completely agree with you that you cannot do this against teams that will punish your mistakes more openly than this SK squad has been. Svenskeren is spotted by the pink ward. Airwaks Unlimited and the rest of the Copenhagen Wolves roaming around, try and make these picks happen. Still, they own most of the map at this point. They are keeping it, but if they keep making mistakes, they may give this advantage up. Azir turret's down. They're sieging on the mid.
Yeah, this is why Azir is so good. Like when you're sieging objectives, because you get tower behind you, and you have the safety in the push. If you get flanked, you can back up in the tower. Svenskeren's looking for a flank. Let's see if it works.
I mean, he's only got so much time to make it happen. There's no minions there just yet for Copenhagen Wolves. Svenskeren will show himself. He eats the tail end of the binding. Can they react in time? No, he's going to ward hop to safety. But the plan is revealed. A big wave pushing for SK Gaming on the top of Copenhagen Wolves. They don't give a damn about that as they look to take this inhibitor. What can SK do to stop this one? Svenskeren, he's got to start by connecting those Qs.
The black shield.
Not going to happen.
Not going to happen. Nope, lost inhibitor. They're back into the safety of their Azir turret, and they walk out.
Textbook example. So that time, no mistakes made by the Wolves. Gold lead up to 9,000 for them. 12-2 is the kill line, and Copenhagen Wolves in prime position to start taking more objectives. As soon as they come up, they do need to worry about that top side wave, though. Looks like the Maokai is there to defend.
Yeah, they don't really care about what damage is doing to the tower. They just want to get it pushing. At this point in the game, you don't care about gold or your own towers too much. You just want the waves in an ideal position that you can force SK to spread out their resources and crush them in a mana advantage. Even or in even numbers, for example, Copenhagen Wolves will win out. So letting SK clear any waves is not what you want, as long as you can get an objective in return for that.
Exactly. So, with YoungBuck clearing away and pushing the top in favor of the Copenhagen Wolves, SK Gaming, they throw the ward down in the Baron pit. They want to make sure they won't get blindsided. But, speaking of blind, Svenskeren went a little close to the danger zone. He's safe now. And SK Gaming really can't make any moves of their own. They have to play reactive to this Copenhagen Wolves squad that has just outplayed them.
Yeah. Miracle Baron steal is something Sven is hoping. They basically want to keep putting in ward by ward by ward, somehow get vision on the Baron. Looks like it started by the Wolves, so let's see how SK reacts.
There's the kick spent. Airwaks, he's going to take another binding. Svenskeren, yeah, but Fox is here for the defense as well. Black Shield thrown on Airwaks. This is just buying time, however, for the Baron. In comes around the side. It's going to be nRated. The Baron has been forgotten as nRated's a juicier target. Carve off a side of that beef. Freeze picks up another cash-in on his stacks. Airwaks kiting, or rather chasing around and forcing SK to kite back. They've lost their big beefy tank line, and Freddy can't really do much else for this team right now. Copenhagen Wolves, they can wait just a minute. Svenskeren is going to get a heal. Airwaks, now Freeze comes in. They miss CandyPanda with his E. He's going to go forward. Another pickup, and now Fox is on the run. SK Gaming, they're just getting jumped all around the flash, but YoungBuck still following through. Freddy is going to go down. Only question now is who is going to get it. He burns his flash in a desperate attempt to get away, and he just might have done it, but Airwaks is still there, and hello, hate spikes. Is it going to hit? The second one's the charm.
Yeah, he got him. I like that Copenhagen Wolves didn't put that Baron below the 2k threshold, so they didn't want to get Lucian to steal it. I think it was a sloppy Baron, but given their gold lead, they can basically do any Baron, force SK to come and win a fight regardless. But this is about as good as it's going to get for SK. Unluckily, they didn't get the Baron.
Now, Svenskeren, he's still hoping for that miracle steal, but Airwaks is giving him a little bit of a hard time right now. Fox trying to stop this, but Airwaks is basically soloing these members here, and Svenskeren's going down. Freeze takes the opportunity. Baron still chunking away as the Wolves just take this one extended without the smite threat anymore, or available anymore.
Yeah,
I'm at a loss for words this game, Krepo.
Yeah, it's getting a little tricky with all the action going on, but really, really good pacing on the Baron HP there by Copenhagen Wolves. Never got it in smite range. Really important. Svenskeren did his best dodging damage as long as he can, warding in the pit. Where's Baron at? Okay, the ward's gone. I'll tag it with my Q again. No, I can't get it yet. Really, really controlled play, but eventually Freeze gets tired of all that. He walks in, smacks Svenskeren in the ass, gets another kill, and then yeah, Baron goes down.
Yeah, at this point, it's all Copenhagen Wolves. need to do is to just continue to force SK to dance to their tune. And, you know, we asked the question at the beginning of this game. What is new SK Gaming? What is it going to be like? Because it's missing the crucial member of old SK Gaming that allowed them to make these power moves in the early game. We really don't know yet because we haven't seen much of their identity. This game has been all about the Wolves.
Yeah, time will tell. I'm not a big fan of SK Gaming's draft though. They put their sports psychologist in the drafting coach position. Not sure how well that will work out for them this time, but it's too early to tell, you know. First game of the season anyways, but yeah, they get really punished for the lack of wave clear, and rightfully so. Copenhagen Wolves did a good job this game, read the SK style of the lane swap, and I think that's the thing to take away from this game. SK so far hasn't changed in the way they treat lane swaps, and that could become very, very worrisome for them in the future.
Yeah, I mean, they had predictability issues last split. They were just so strong in the lane that it didn't really matter so much. This time around, it's not necessarily the case. Copenhagen Wolves, you know, they wanted to have the 2v2, and SK outwitted them there, but it didn't matter.
Yeah, last split, you know Forgiven's going to 2v2 push you in tower and take your tower, but the question is, what are you going to do about it? This split, yeah, we don't know what SK is going to do.
Well, Copenhagen Wolves don't seem to care right now as the Axes come back. Freeze with the godlike kill. As low as he is on HP, he's able to pick up another, and SK Gaming are dropping like flies. No more members remain except for Sven and CandyPanda. That's not going to be long. It's going to be a double kill for Soren. CandyPanda back on the fountain. The Nexus is about to be naked here, and Copenhagen Wolves in 32 minutes take down SK Gaming and thunder off to a 1-0 start in the summer split.
22. Very, very impressive performance.
Oh, yes. We have seen one-sided games, Krepo. That one might be one of the biggest. Ending the game on a 17,000 gold lead.
Impressive. And the classic howl coming up.
It's back.
Ow.
It's back. You know, we asked Dentis when it was going to be back. He said eventually. I guess that's now.
I guess he's back. Back again.
Back once again.
Tell your friends.
Yes, indeed. 32 minutes is what it took to finish that one off. And SK Gaming, they still have a lot of questions to answer. Yes, we can't take too much away. It's only been one game. That's true. For now, the Wolves have found the right formula.
I just want to thank Soren for picking Azir. I was always harping on that Azir, you know, highlighting how good the champions. He picked it and proved that it was good. Won with it. Thank you, Soren. Thank you so much for that. And yeah, good performance by the Wolves. However, some slip-ups. You know, these teams are not projected to be top 3 right now, so let's see how they do against better teams. But obviously, week 1, we're not sure how this is going to evolve. We'll need to wait for week 2, week 3, see if some of these teams fall into predictable patterns and how they adapt, because that's the mark of a great team, in my opinion. How you come back from failure, how you adapt to people, figure out your strategy,